Yeah,
You'll
Miriam.
you'll learn really fast, Miriam, that I'm a horrible speller. There we go. Then there's Miriam. How are you, Miriam?
But I think you did spell it wrong. Wait,
Did
it's
I?
yeah, the A and the I are reversed.
Oh, it sure is. And I'm not even dyslexic. There we go. Yeah, how are you, Miriam?
Doing well. I had two main points that I wanted to bring up
Sure.
that I've been thinking about. Okay, so the first one is I feel like with all the changes that YouTube is making, one of the thoughts that I've had is like, well, what do I need to do as someone who's been on YouTube for so long? If you don't mind me giving some background,
I absolutely do not
yeah.
mind.
So
Tell everybody what you're about. That is so cool on this channel.
So I've been on YouTube since 2012. I started in middle school and now I'm in college. So I've kind of like grown up with making my channel. And I've never had a copyright strike or a community strike,
Mhm.
except for I did have one on my school channel when my teacher made us do a video essay, and the movie that I was using for my video essay got a copyright strike, but never on this channel. And I feel like every time YouTube makes these changes, I was in YPP before February. What was that? What was the year? But I was in it for so long. Like I said, I never really like violated anything, and my content especially used to be very ad safe because I used to make how to draw videos, but now I'm vlogging and it gets a little bit more controversial, I guess. But especially when I was making how to draw videos, there was nothing particularly controversial or not ad friendly about it. Like drawing a wristwatch, like who cares?
Right.
And I see these changes and I see like all these features that you can't do. Like I'm not even on YouTube for the money. I'm doing it because I love making videos. And I always think back to like, well, what am I supposed to be doing? I keep up with all the updates. I keep up with, all the features, and my channel is still really small 7 years later.
Well, that's the thing, right? They've just given us no real hardcore rules to follow. I mean, we don't even know when we do cross the line, and I feel as bad for any other creator. I don't feel bad for myself because this for me is a hobby, kind of like what you were saying. You don't care to make money on this; you just love doing videos. I love doing these live streams. I love talking to people. Getting folks like you and to give your opinion and to learn more about you. Thanks again from coming over from Pusha. But yeah, that's the really rough thing about it, is because there are a lot of people who do want to use this as their and already do as their sole source of income. And now, because they don't know where the lines are drawn, that is in constant flux. That would be horrible.
Yeah. I mean, do you remember back to when we used to have video responses? I remember when they removed that a couple years ago. I was so upset. It's a really cool feature, and they removed it because people were misusing it, and I understand that it was problematic, but it also just steered YouTube away from being a social media platform.
Yeah, I agree. I remember that. Was it only a couple years ago? I thought it was more than that, but
Well, it was like around when I first started my channel, so that was around, like I said, 2012, and I remember they got rid of it within like maybe a few months to maybe a year after I started.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I remember way back when, because I was uploading several years ago, usually banned videos, try to elicit bookings, but I wasn't doing anything really serious. So I kind of stepped away from YouTube, and then I noticed just recently, I thought, you know what? They used to have response videos, and they no longer have them.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these features that like are just useful for creators. Like, why can't we use Content ID if we're not in YPP? I don't get it. You build a tool and then you're restricting it from most channels.
Yeah, she's talking about the YouTube Partner Program. For those of you who may not know, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, and it's people make bad decisions all the time, and especially when you're a large corporation. There are too many chiefs, not enough Indians. People have a tendency to start making rather silly decisions, not thinking it through.
And I think a lot of people forget that YouTube is, at the end of the day, a corporation.
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely. A very large, a very profitable corporation, as is Google.
And they're showing it. I mean, they used to talk a lot more about community building and, you know, just getting to know each other. And now it's all about, hey, you have to get monetized. You need to be a brand. I hate this whole you have to be a brand thing. What if I just love making videos?
Oh, I know. Says the guy who has actually formed a brand around this.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. There's got to be a home for all different sorts, right? True corporate, people like me who like to brand, and then people who just want to create. You as an artist, I totally get that.
Yeah. I mean, my channel does not fit into a niche. I've tried, and that is when I needed to take a break. I took a break for a few months my senior year of high school because I needed to focus on school, and it was very hard to come up with new how to draw videos because my life was steering in a different direction. And then I was like, what kind of content am I going to make? I don't know what niche to go into now. And it was a lot easier when I was just like, hey, I'm just going to make videos and stop worrying about fitting into a certain niche. So now I call my channel like lifestyle vlogs, but like they're not even really vlogs. They're kind of more like reflections.
Well, reflections based on your experience, your life.
Yeah. Like one video I made lately was like reflecting on how like the last term of college went and how I like underestimated myself, like things like that, where it's like something happens. I'm trying to do more vlogs like in the moment too, now that I upgraded my camera. But a lot of them were like afterthoughts, not really like taking people into the moment of when it was happening, but more talking about it after something happened.
Well, there's got to be a term for that too, not like the diary or something like that, because that's what it sounds like, right?
Kind of, but it's, I mean, at the end of the day, they're just videos, you know, like why does it have to have a term for it? Why can't I just have a channel, you know?
Oh yeah, and don't get me started on categorization, because you know, try to fit this show in the categories that they ask you to place it in. Well, is it, you know, entertainment, is it comedy, is it people in blogs, or people in vlogs? What is it?
There's no category for like that I've noticed for like what is it? There was something I made recently and I was like, this would fit better because I've been putting everything under like people and blogs, but like some of my content doesn't fit under that. Like, and it's not quite how to either. It's like somewhere in between.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I think they're too, right now, they're when they're not trying to get the lights back on. Did you hear about that earlier today?
Yeah, I don't know how I keep missing the outages. Like every time I'm not on YouTube, it goes out. I kind of lucked out. I was out grocery shopping when it went out this time. I'm like, what? And that was the second point I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
Just like, I feel like this time, back when everything happened in February, it got plenty of coverage. But what's been happening lately with the outages and everything, it's not getting a lot of press. Like when I go into the tab page on Google, especially, there's no statements from YouTube itself, which is upsetting.
Yes.
And then there's also not that many news stories. Like even just, I'll go back to the tab now. There's Newsweek. You have a couple articles that are like not about this, but about like older apocalypse stuff. You have The Hill had an article that's only somewhat related, and there's just no coverage. Like forget like what source you think is okay or not. Like even just having anyone talk about it, there's just not a lot of like actual articles on it right now.
Here's a great question. I don't know how much of the creator spotlight Mike Van Doozy was up, and he was talking about that. Well, they could and it works into the conspiracy, or gets into the conspiracy theory sort of realm. But how much of that do you think is actually being suppressed?
It gets because the problem is a lot of the news agencies themselves, not forget like left, right, center, regardless, a lot of them are corporations and businesses themselves, and they want to make sure that they're not getting on YouTube's nerves.
Yeah.
So they have to think about, if they're going to start talking about YouTube, is it going to hurt them? Like even Vox makes a lot of YouTube videos. They have to be careful how they address this. So even Vox isn't going to necessarily put out a statement. Yeah.
But they have. In fact, today I was looking at just hundreds of stories around it,
That's
Um,
interesting because it doesn't come up in the search results for, like I said, I went to the news tab and I was like, oh, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of articles on this, just like there was in the original Adpocalypse with PewDiePie.
right.
That got a ton of news coverage, but where's the news coverage for this?
Well, that's kind of where I was going, because I don't know if you saw the start of the show, but I was talking about I have another channel that I subscribe to this channel, and after every show, I go up and I click my recommended, and I am the top left. You know, this latest show is always the top left, first one from your subscriptions, whatever tonight's show was. After last night's show, I went up and looked at it, and the second video over was one of my guest cuts. There was no mention of last night's show on my recommended page at all, and I tagged the shit out of it with Vox Apocalypse. Trust me. If you haven't seen that yet, go back and watch last night's show. You'll see what I'm talking about. And I was just talking about it, you know, as things as I saw it. And then Andrew was actually on the show last night, which was awesome. But I found that to be extraordinary, actually, and a little too coincidental. And that's
Well,
that. Go ahead.
Even when Patreon was taking people down, it got news coverage, though.
Yes.
Like, do you remember that whole thing?
Yes. I do, absolutely. With Sargon, when it started with Sargon of Akkad. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was. There was no way I wasn't going to hear about this. If I hadn't watched Pusa tonight, I don't think I would have known YouTube was down. Even though I've been on YouTube like throughout the day, I was on Twitter throughout the day looking at other stuff, and I probably wouldn't have found out.
Yeah. And I don't like to go down that conspiracy theory road, but it seems a little too convenient, don't you think, that those stories aren't showing up like they should? How I found them, you remember I told you that I found a lot of stories, is I was watching other people who were covering it, and they found all these stories around it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, what's the word? A new form of journalism where, like, people are posting on their own, but they're not necessarily formal journalists. I forget the term. But it's kind of like that. It's like self-reporting of, like, outages and stuff. And I don't know, you know, because then you get... well, unless people are screenshotting that it's down, how do you know that some of these reports too, like, on the one hand, it's kind of weird that people aren't talking about it, and on the other hand, it might be getting overcovered where people might be complaining that aren't actually having issues.
Yeah. I just don't know. I find it really convenient, and and you know, I'm gonna wait though. I'm not gonna pass final judgment until all the dust settles myself. Right now, I'm really pissed off at YouTube, but we'll just go ahead.
So when exactly did the Vox thing happen? I'm still trying to piece that together too.
It was like the not last week, but the end of the week prior.
So yeah, how was no one talking about it if it was a week ago?
Yeah, well, like I said, they were actually talking about it a lot. I don't know if they were talking about it on well, you know, if YouTube was serving any of that, because that goes back to my theory that perhaps they're suppressing a lot, at least the hashtag. And I hashtagged the hell out of my video last night, so who knows? And maybe even this one. It'll be fun to go look at this one later on tonight and see if it actually shows up on that other channel's recommended. But I think for the most part that they're embarrassed by this whole thing. They handled it poorly, and I think they're saying, okay, let's just try to bury this as much as possible. Maybe somebody else said that maybe the outage was a deflection tactic. I don't know about that, but
who knows? It could be something with Beta broke it, you know, with all the stuff with Beta.
Yeah, really.
But they've been having trouble ever since, like, what was it, like 2016, the whole PewDiePie thing went down. Like, they've said they're working on it, but there's been no, like, good solution yet. And I do think they need to do something. They can't just ignore, like, a lot of the content that's been coming out that's more problematic. I mean, you can get into a whole debate on, like, where do you draw the line, which I agree, like, it has been a little unclear, especially because at first they were saying you need 10,000, but if you'd be grandfathered in, and then they said 1,000, and, you know, that part upsets me, but I do think they need to do something.
Yeah, just a line. Yeah, just a line. Give us a line. I don't care what that line is. It's your platform. but you got to give us a line.
I
Or
also think they need to be dealing with channels a little bit more individually. Like, there's certain bigger channels that have been known for a long time to have problematic content, and then instead of actually going after them, they're just doing a blanket, we're going to change our policy now.
yeah. Coincidentally enough, the same time they changed the policy on Crowder, which I thought was extraordinary.
Well,
Out,
instead of actually dealing with PewDiePie, they just changed the policy for everyone.
yeah,
So
exactly. And I think that's their that seems to be their MO, really, which again is disconcerting. By the way, Outdoorsy Gal, no, I wasn't really hinting at the Illuminati. But you know, conspiracy things being what they are, I suppose they can be lumped in there. Oh, and Chrissy didn't know that there was an outage. Yeah, it wasn't a YouTube outage necessarily, but no one could live stream from, I want to say it was about 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all the way up until 8:45 Eastern Standard Time. I mean, it was almost like Forrest Gump was at the mic and they pulled the plug. But I think it was also just for a specific area, maybe the Northeast. I heard that as well. But these are all rumors flying around. So
the problem is they haven't released a statement on it as far as I've seen. If YouTube just told us what was going on, it'd be a lot better.
yes, exactly. And if it was a deflection, they certainly would throw that out there to get the bump the other things off, off the front page if that was their intent. So maybe it was just an honest technical glitch. That happens. We all know that happens. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on that one for sure.
There's still been a lot of glitches lately, though, with beta.
I know. I can't tell you how many times I've clicked return to YouTube Studio and it just closed the tab. And
my biggest thing is you can't navigate to your channel settings.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I wanted to change channel defaults when I renamed my channel recently, or I wanted to check on, am I qualified for monetization now because I just reached, a few months ago, I reached the 1,000 subscribers, but I'm still waiting on the watch time. And to actually navigate to it, you have to go back to Classic. I found no way to do it that does not involve Classic.
Yeah. Definitely a shortcoming. But hey, now you can see how many people have rung your bell for notifications in the analytics portion. That came out today. Yeah, absolutely. Both, I can't remember the different delineators, but yeah, if you go into your analytics, you for your channel, for the whole channel, not individual videos, I don't think. But yeah, you can see what percentage of your subscribers actually have rung the bell.
I still need to watch the Creator Insider video from today to see what all the updates were.
I haven't either. I actually saw that on the vidIQ live stream earlier today. But yeah, it's kind of cool. But sometimes they work on problems that don't exist and ignore those that really need work on. But
well, they're reaching their big deadline now with VidCon being next month.
Mm-hmm.
Because they usually do big launches at VidCon, and I'm really curious to see what they do with that, because that's always the date that they only have a month now, and I know because this will be the first year that I'm going to VidCon.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been really keeping an eye on that, and it's like, but what are they going to do? They've been working on changes all year. It's not like they're going to have a big announcement necessarily, and if they do, what is it going to be?
Yeah, that will be interesting. And they're going to have some eggshells to walk on too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to watch.
Interesting to see how people feel at VidCon.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Miriam, I'm usually only on for an hour on the weeknights, and we've pushed past that. No problem, because you're a joy to talk to. We could go on about this for hours, I think. So I'm going to have to invite you back on if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of experience with YouTube. Like I said, I've been on here 7 years.
Well, it's always nice to hear from someone who has worked with it for a good long time. And
Right.
like I said, you're great to talk to, and I so appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Like I said, we'll do this again, but that just means you'll have to call in on yet another night. Is that all right?
Mm-hmm. I just realized it's reflecting the image too.
Reflecting the image.
Yeah, on the video for some reason.
Oh, interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to go, and we will certainly talk to you later.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Thanks so much. You know, you too could be a guest on this show at any time. We're live every weeknight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you've got to do is hit that subscription button and ring that bell right now. Oh, and while you're at it, why not share this video? I'm sure my guests would appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you live.